When Marcel Lu called off our engagement, everyone said my life was over. After being with him for 5 years, my reputation had long been ruined to please him. No one is willing to take on a woman like me. When Marcel found someone new, everyone around me was waiting for me to beg and plead, hoping to reconcile with him. But they do not know that I voluntarily replaced my younger sister and married far away to Hong Kong for a union. Before getting married, I returned the trinket box that Marcel gave me, and the blank wish card he personally gave me when we were young, leaving without a trace, until Marcel suddenly mentioned to me the day before his engagement, "It's been so long without a word. Is Lisa dead?" And indeed I, who had just experienced a fierce battle, was being awakened by my new husband's kiss. "Lisa, be good." We agreed 4 times. Not a single one can be missed. Chapter 1. Marcel suddenly said he wanted to get married that day. I haven't seen him for 3 months. The last time we met, I accidentally overheard him telling a friend that he was already tired of me. The whole room was laughing. They laughed at me for being with him for 5 years, for compromising myself, and ending up with the fate of being discarded like a worn-out shoe. The past 3 months at Sue's place have been quite difficult. A few days ago, Alex got drunk and was a bit rough, and the pain from the bruise on my back still lingers. Therefore, when Marcel suddenly called me today and asked me to come over, a glimmer of hope rose in my heart. I specifically wore the pair of jade bracelets we got engaged with and hurried over. By the time I arrived at the villa, Marcel was already slightly tipsy. He was lying half asleep with his eyes closed on the lap of a young girl. The girl looked like she was still in school, with a very innocent appearance. Seeing me come in, the girl who was giving Marcel a head massage became flustered and hurried to get up, but she was held back by Marcel on her wrist. "Just sit there." He didn't even open his eyes, just applied a little pressure with his hand. The girl was pulled closer to him. She obediently lowered her head, allowing him to kiss her. He released his hand and then held the girl's chin. The kiss was deep and the sound was loud. I stood at the entrance, clutching my handbag, feeling at a loss for a while. Only after I barely adjusted my emotions and pretended to be indifferent did I look out the window and say, "I'll go stroll in the garden for a bit, and come back later." As soon as the words fell, Marcel suddenly let out a laugh. The girl beside him quickly stood up obediently. "I'll go out first. Let her come in." This time, Marcel didn't stop her. He just held her hand and played with it for a while before reluctantly letting go. "It's cold outside. Don't catch a chill." The girl smiled shyly, nodding her head, her long black hair falling over most of her blushing face. As she walked past me, she politely called out and greeted me. I also nodded at her and returned a smile. She is very young, with clear eyes, and her timid appearance is very much like my younger sister. "Lisa, come here." Marcel leaned on the sofa and patted the empty space beside him. The intricate and magnificent giant crystal chandelier cast colorful light, illuminating his narrow, sculpted face with striking features. This interplay of light and shadow created a sense of unreality. For a moment, I felt a bit dazed and an indescribable discomfort washed over me. Marcel's peach blossom eyes shimmered, and the alcohol had slightly reddened the corners of his eyes. In the scattered collar, there were kiss marks along the collarbone and neck. "That girl just now is Eva." I nodded. "Yeah, I know. What do you think of her?" I thought for a moment and answered seriously, "Very innocent, very pure, very well behaved." Marcel nodded. "Isn't she a lot like you 5 years ago?" I was taken aback. Chapter 2. 5 years ago, I had just started college. To use Marcel's words when he was pursuing me, "So pure it's heart-wrenching." He really loved me back then, and he spoiled me terribly, as if I were afraid it would melt in my mouth. I was also the one he dated the longest. I even got engaged to him before graduating from college. What a pity. The person I am today is completely unrecognizable, infamous. Everyone in the city knows. I did countless shameless things to hold on to this golden bachelor. I did so many disgraceful things. At that time, he said he was tired of my pure and clean nature. To cater to him, I forced myself to change and blend into his filthy circle, to satisfy his curious preferences. He wanted charm and sensuality, liked allure and passion, and preferred openness and boldness. I endured the embarrassment to satisfy, but my compliance only earned me a few disdainful remarks from him in the end. "Lisa, you are truly despicable. Even prostitutes are more uninhibited than you in bed. Look at you now. Do you have even a hint of the elegance of a proper lady?" He broke up with me. Alex threatened me with my younger siblings to make me not break up with Marcel. To keep him, I attempted suicide by cutting my wrists and taking pills. I did it all. Now, he looks at my disfigured self and says he likes Eva. He likes her because she resembles the me from 5 years ago. I want to laugh, but I can't seem to. I really like her and want to give her a title. She's not like you. She's very timid and pure. And I have to take responsibility. I want to say something, but my lips seem to be glued together. Not a sound can escape. After a long while, I finally forced out a smile. Okay, I understand. Sue sighed. I can help you say a few words of affection. No need. I'll find a way to solve it myself. Then it's up to you. He shook as he stood up and pulled something out of his pocket. The sound of it clattering onto the coffee table, my eyelids began to twitch violently. That was the token we exchanged when we got engaged. A relic from my birth mother. A pair of intertwined pendants. What Marcel gave me was his mother's dowry. A pair of jade bracelets, which is this pair on my wrist. Take off the bracelet. Our engagement is null and void. I raised my gaze to him. His once sparkling peach blossom eyes now seemed as cold as if they were covered in frost and snow. It turns out that when he said he wanted to get married, he didn't mean to marry me. It turns out that 5 years of companionship cannot compare to the fleeting thrill brought by a newcomer in just a few days. I thought I would collapse, feeling sad, but I didn't even shed a single tear. I simply took off the jade bracelet calmly and returned it to him. Marcel raised an eyebrow, seemingly a bit surprised, but he still reached out to take it, turning away without any lingering attachment. Chapter 3. The news of my Marcel engagement being called off quickly spread. The anticipated blow did not come. It was just that I lost contact with my younger siblings abroad once again. I know this is a tactic my father often uses to unleash his anger. He and his stepmother began searching the city for a suitable marriage partner. They want to marry me off to continue family Sue's wealth. But gradually, there were unpleasant rumors circulating outside. It was said that over the years, I had done anything to please Marcel, that I would stoop to any lowly act, and had long been used up. Even my ability to bear children was gone. In City A, no one would be willing to take on a woman like me. My father's temper was getting worse. My days were becoming increasingly difficult to endure. 2 months after Marcel and I broke off our engagement, explosive news about him circulated in the circle again. Is it true that he is getting engaged again? To Eva? Marcel went against his parents for her. That group of people who love to have fun deliberately brought the news to me. I know what they want to see. It's just that life has become too boring. I miss the lively times when there was a clown like me by my side. Lisa, I actually think Marcel still likes you quite a bit. Things are pretty tough for you right now. Why not go plead with Marcel? He's a soft-hearted person. If you cry a little, or even pretend to want to commit suicide, who knows, he might just change his mind. Eva, how can I compare to you, Lisa's sister? You are much more beautiful than her. I looked at those messages and didn't reply. Instead, I wholeheartedly began preparing for marriage. Just a week ago, I knelt for an entire night. I finally got my father to relent, agreeing to let me marry in place of my newly adult sister, going to Hong Kong for the alliance. I heard that the young master of the Hong Kong Song family, Hudson, he is ruthless in his methods and wields immense power. He is the uncrowned king of Hong Kong, but because he has a disability in his leg, his temperament is extremely volatile. But I am not afraid at all. Being able to escape Sue's home allows my siblings to gain freedom. I am more than willing. Moreover, I can no longer stay in City A. Hong Kong may still have a glimmer of hope. Chapter 4. Before getting married, I arranged to have dinner with my best friend. On my way to the restroom, I unexpectedly ran into Eva. She is completely different from how she used to be. She has done her makeup exquisitely, wearing Dior's most classic little black dress, slender and charming, quite alluring. Her beautiful lips held a slender lady's cigarette. Ms. Sue, you know about it too, right? Eva looked at me, a provocative smile on her face. Marcel is going to propose to me. I looked at her and suddenly thought of the first time I saw her, her pure and shy appearance. For some reason, there was a hint of regret deep in my heart. I heard about it. Eva's eyes sparkled with deeper amusement. Ms. Sue, are you feeling jealous? I heard you had 3 children with him, and over the years, you were willing to do anything degrading to keep him and marry him. She leaned against the windowsill, her eyes holding a smile that concealed disdain and contempt. I glanced at her faintly. Eva, you also said it was just hearsay. We're all girls. There's no need to spread such rumors. Eva suddenly scoffed. The whole City A is talking about it. What kind of rumor is that? I didn't want to waste my breath on her and turned to leave, but Eva suddenly said in a sarcastic tone, Miss Sue, girls are different from each other. You should have learned to love yourself. Didn't your mother teach you that before she passed? My footsteps suddenly came to a halt. Hearing the word mom, I felt a rush of heat surge to the top of my head. I had no time to think, nor could I be rational. I turned around and slapped out with my hand. Miss Sue. Eva was taken aback for a moment. then immediately covered her face and cried out in grievance. I know that my engagement to Marcel makes you very upset, but you can't resort to violence. I understand that you're angry, but matters of the heart cannot be forced. Marcel doesn't like your kind of promiscuous woman. The fault isn't mine, she cried pitifully, and every word she spoke felt like a stab to my heart. I know your mother died early, and no one taught you, Miss Roan. This time I won't hold it against you. I gritted my teeth, the roots aching faintly, and raised my hand to slap her again, but my arm was gripped tightly by Marcel. Lisa, apologize to Eva. I won't apologize. I stood up straight, my face somewhat pale, and my lips also pale, but those eyes were filled with a deep red, bright and captivating. Chapter 5. Marcel seemed a bit surprised. Over the years, he has seen the obedient and innocent me. He has seen the compliant and gentle me. He has also seen the hysterical, crying, and entangled me. I have been naive, flirtatious, and have cried, laughed, and made a scene in front of him, but I have never been as calm and distant as I am at this moment. He pushed Eva aside, walked expressionlessly to me, and said, Lisa, I will only say this one last time. Apologize to Eva. I stared at him intently, but suddenly I smiled. The smile was resolute, yet reckless. Marcel, I said, I won't apologize. I will never apologize. The crisp sound of a slap suddenly echoed in the empty corridor. As that slap was delivered, Marcel seemed momentarily stunned. Eva covered her face, her eyes wide, also in disbelief and shock. Only I slowly raised my hand to cover the stinging half of my face, my eyes reddening bit by bit. Lisa, Marcel instinctively took a step forward, but I immediately took a step back. The hand he originally wanted to raise suddenly fell, and his face turned cold. Lisa, this is what you brought upon yourself. If you had apologized just now, I wouldn't have laid a hand on you. Marcel's voice was deep and somewhat hoarse. You know, I never hit women. We've been together for so many years, and I've never laid a finger on you. You shouldn't have laid a hand on Eva today. It's my fault for liking her, not hers. Lisa, stop making a scene and save yourself some dignity. He has always been a man of few words and has never spoken at such length as he did today. But I didn't hear a single word. Her eyes were red, uncontrollably filled with tears. I desperately tried to hold back my tears, but I couldn't. My tear glands ached painfully, and tears fell down in large drops, as if they would never stop. Marcel, I don't know when, tightly clenched his hands, his brows furrowed. Eva walked to his side and said softly, Marcel, forget it. Let's go. Marcel held her hand, but his gaze still remained on my face. Lisa, stop trying to cause Eva trouble, and don't show up in front of Eva and me again. This is my last warning to you. After he finished speaking, he didn't take Eva away, but instead stared at me, as if waiting for my response, but I said nothing, only lowering my head slightly. It seemed as if I wanted to cry out all the tears of my life. About half a minute later, Marcel still took Eva away. When he turned around, I suddenly spoke softly. Okay, I swear, I will never show up in front of you and Eva again. Marcel's erect posture suddenly paused, but he quickly pulled Eva forward again, not looking back even once. Yet Eva turned back to glance at Lisa. Tears still lingered in her eyes, but the corners of her mouth were raised in triumph. I slowly lowered my hand. How wonderful, I thought to myself. 5 years of entanglement, the kind of love and hate for Marcel that was almost deeply rooted in my heart. Finally, at this moment, it was completely uprooted and severed. I could leave without distraction, forever free of attachment. Chapter 6. After returning that day, I received many messages and calls. A large portion were Eva's WeChat moments screenshots. The most eye-catching was the engagement ring she posted. I logged out of WeChat and still did not reply, and I did not answer those calls either. My face was still a bit swollen, so I applied ice for a while. When I came back, there was an additional account deposit notification on my phone. I was somewhat puzzled. When I opened it, I was shocked by that string of zeros. Before I could even count clearly, the phone rang. The 3 words flashing on the screen were the ones I saved myself, Mr. Song. And this was the first time, after the engagement was set, that Hudson called me. I felt my heart racing a bit, took a few deep breaths, and then answered the call. Miss Sue, have you received the money? I have received it, but, Mr. Song, you have already given the betrothal gift. I gently reminded him, wondering if someone around him had made a mistake. The betrothal gift is for the family, Sue. This sum of money is specifically for you. I clutched my phone, stunned for a while, before softly saying, Mr. Song, you don't have to do this. I was previously engaged, and my reputation isn't great. It's okay. Hudson's voice was particularly deep and melodious. yet carried a comforting strength. I think of the man described in the rumors, ruthless in his actions, cruel in his methods, and with a temperament that is unpredictable and violent. Yet at this moment, there is not a trace of that in the sound of his voice. You also said it was before. Everything from before is in the past. Miss Sue, don't take it to heart. You are about to marry far away. If you like anything, you can prepare some to take to Hong Kong. My eyes were a bit warm, gradually filling with tears, yet I lightly curled the corners of my lips. Mr. Song, thank you. The matter of marrying into Song's family has not leaked a word. This is the meaning of Hudson. The people sent by the Song family to welcome the bride have already arrived in City A. With them around, the family soon naturally behaves very well. Therefore, in the entire City A, no one knows that I am about to marry far away. 3 days before leaving, all my belongings have been packed neatly. I looked at the exquisitely beautiful treasure box on the dressing table, and there was a yellowed blank wish card. The treasure box was given to me by Marcel when he was pursuing me years ago. It has 9 layers, completely filled with various pieces of jewelry. The blank wish card was a thank you gift he gave me when he was 12. Of course, he has long forgotten about it. I had actually thought about using this wish card to get him to agree to marry me, but in the end, I still didn't want to waste my life on someone like him. The jewelry is too precious, so it naturally needs to be returned. The blank wish card has his personal seal on it. Naturally, it cannot fall into someone else's hands. I carefully packed both items away. I called Marcel's personal assistant. The items are very valuable. Please make sure to hand them over personally. I repeatedly reminded him, and although his assistant remained polite, he was clearly becoming impatient. Miss Sue, I kindly advise you, it's better not to waste your efforts anymore. Mr. Lu is about to get engaged. Let's each be well. He thought I was trying to manipulate him into reconciling. I wanted to explain, but he clearly couldn't be bothered to humor me. Casually tossed the cardboard box into the trunk, and drove away. Chapter 7. I quietly followed the people from the Song family who were going to pick up the bride. Leaving City A. 2 days later, I met my future husband for the first time, the heir of the Song family, Hudson. He was wearing a neatly pressed black suit, dignified and handsome, although sitting in a wheelchair, his legs covered with a Song blanket. He had an upright posture, broad shoulders, and strong arms. It completely made one overlook his disability. Lisa. He called my name in a deep voice. I took a deep breath, walked quickly towards him, and then slowly crouched down. My gaze met his. I think I must have been incredibly nervous and shy, because I saw a little version of myself in the depths of his profound eyes. In those pitch-black pupils, it felt as if even the eyelashes were gently trembling. I secretly took a breath, mustered my courage, raised my hand, and gently held his hands that were resting on the blanket. Mr. Song. Hello, I am Lisa. The moment I held his thin hand, it felt as if I heard the sound of people around me gasping, but the tension made it impossible for me to pay attention to these things. Instead, holding his hand, I instinctively gripped it tighter. Hudson did not push me away. His fingers were long and strong, and I could hardly hold on to his hand. Just when I was so nervous that I could barely breathe, Hudson suddenly grasped my cold knuckles. His large palm completely enveloped my cold hand and held it tightly. Lisa, push me back to the room. I hurried to stand up, but as I did, my body swayed slightly, almost toppling over. Hudson timely reached out and steadily supported my waist. Be careful. His hand quickly loosened, but my cheek still felt faintly warm. She lightly hummed, took the wheelchair from the servant's hands, and pushed him into the room. The door to the room closed, and the warm light turned on. Hudson glanced at me and then pointed at his own legs. The corner of his lips seemed to curve slightly, but it felt like just my illusion. My legs are inconvenient. Lisa, I'll have to trouble you tonight. I lowered my head, not daring to meet his gaze, and just gently nodded. Feeling a bit uneasy, I raised my hand to pinch my earlobe, but my fingertips were already unusually hot. Chapter 8. Marcel organized a gathering before the engagement. My fiancée Eva didn't come. It was just that group of friends around him. After a few rounds of drinks, everyone was getting a bit out of control. I don't know who let the cat out of the bag, but suddenly someone mentioned Lisa's name. Marcel has had so many relationships, but my sister Lisa is still the prettiest. That's true. We all agree. If it weren't for Marcel making a big deal about it, honestly, I would have wanted to pursue her. You think you stand a chance, kid? Go to the back of the line. A few people were talking more and more nonsense. I don't know when Marcel put down his glass. Leaning on the sofa, I stared at a few people without blinking. The sound of conversation gradually stopped. Well, Marcel, we were just talking casually. I might have had a bit too much to drink. It's all just nonsense, so don't take it seriously. Marcel smiled slightly. Hearing you say that, I actually remembered Lisa. But, is she dead? There hasn't been a word from her in so long. His voice sounded cold and indifferent, as if he had just now remembered Lisa, as if her death, even if it were true, was merely an insignificant matter. But suddenly, the room fell silent. Marcel's assistant hurriedly smiled and spoke. Mr. Lu, it was my oversight. I forgot to tell you. Just a few days ago, Miss Su asked me to deliver something to you, saying it was very valuable. I guess she probably wanted to make amends, so I just said a few words to her, and that's why it didn't escalate to you. Marcel looked lightly at the assistant, even chuckling a bit. All right, your courage is getting bigger, Mario. The assistant was startled and quickly stood up. Mr. Lu, when did my matters become your decision to make? Yes, I overstepped. The assistant bowed repeatedly, drenched in cold sweat. Marcel looked down, habitually twirling the ring on his middle finger. Go call her and tell her to come over in 30 minutes. The assistant paused for a moment. Mr. Lu? Marcel turned his face, looking at the pitch-black night sky. If she doesn't make it by tomorrow, I will really get engaged to Eva. Chapter 9. When Mario called, I was just blushing as I got off Hudson's lap. He leaned by the window, looking at my slightly swollen lips with a half-smile. My ears were burning. I took my phone and walked to the window to answer. Mario assistant. As I spoke, my breath quickened slightly. Is there something wrong? On the other end of the line, Mario's voice was a bit hurried. Ms. Su, Mr. Lu said to get to the old place within 30 minutes, where he will really get engaged to Eva. At his words, I couldn't help but chuckle softly. The night was too quiet. Hudson probably heard it too. He placed the cup on the bedside table, making a bit of noise. Mario on the other end of the line seemed to hear the noise as well and immediately asked, Ms. Su, it's so late, do you have someone else with you? In the past, I always complied with Marcel without question. It was common for me to be at his beck and call, and I was always polite to his Marcel's personal assistant, never disrespectful. But now, that will never happen again. Assistant Mario, this is my personal matter, and it has nothing to do with you. I slowly spoke. Also, I have ended my engagement with Marcel, and we have no further relationship. Who he gets engaged to is none of my concern. Mario seemed to get anxious immediately. Ms. Su, please don't act on impulse. You might regret it later. Tomorrow is the engagement banquet for Mr. Lu and Eva, and tonight is your last chance to turn things around. I don't need this opportunity. My tone was calm and indifferent. Also, did you give the things I entrusted to you to Marcel? Mario fell silent for a moment. That cardboard box was taken away by Eva 2 days ago, and he, considering Eva's status, did not stop her. I reminded him again. Assistant Mario, I will only say this once. Please hand it over to Marcel yourself immediately. When Mario spoke again, his voice was exceedingly polite. Miss Su, it would be better if you handed these things to Mr. Lu yourself. I told you, Mario assistant, I have broken up with him, and I will not see him again. At this point, I paused and let out a long sigh. Mario assistant, after I give him the things, I will delete your contact information, and please do not contact me again in the future. Chapter 10. After ending the call, I walked back to the bed with my phone in hand. Hudson picked up the phone and casually tossed it onto the sofa. He wrapped his arms around my waist, his warm breath brushing against my face and neck. His long fingers gently caressed the soft flesh at my waist, sending a shiver through me. I instinctively wanted to hide, but he held me even tighter. Lisa, do you know that running off to answer an inconsequential phone call in the middle of a kiss is very unethical? For the past few days, I have been by Hudson's side, and he even said that we are about to hold a wedding and become a real couple. One should adapt to the intimacy between couples a bit earlier. So every night before sleeping, we would hug and kiss, and then say goodnight. After arriving here, I have been extremely comfortable, which is vastly different from what I had imagined. Hudson is not at all as violent and ruthless as the rumors suggest. On the contrary, he treats me very well, and he treats those around him very well. Our relationship is also rapidly heating up. I have also gotten in touch with my siblings who are far away abroad. They are all safe, studying, and living without any impact. As long as I successfully marry him, Hudson has promised me that my siblings can live freely in the future, no longer controlled by Alex and their stepmother. I am looking forward to that day immensely. One should repay kindness with kindness. Hudson treats me well, and I have naturally adjusted my mindset, sincerely regarding him as my husband. Thinking of this, I couldn't help but raise my hand to hook around his neck and leaned in to give him a gentle kiss. Mr. Song, is this compensation acceptable? Is it just a kiss, Lisa? I held back my shyness and kissed his face again. Then it was his chin and Adam's apple. When I kissed his Adam's apple, Hudson's body stiffened for a moment, and his Adam's apple rolled up and down violently. Good girl, Lisa. That's not enough. As soon as he finished speaking, he took the initiative, pinched my chin, and kissed me deeply. And this kiss was different from every kiss before. He kissed heavily and deeply, as if he wanted to consume me whole, and I could clearly feel all of his body's reactions. But I had no time to think about these things. I was already lost in his kiss, my legs turning to jelly, and those people far away in City A have long been cast aside in my mind. I am completely devoted to this man before me. I don't know how long it has been. Hudson finally let go of me, his voice hoarse. It's getting late. Let's go to sleep. Lisa, good night. I stood up from him and roughly tidied my disheveled clothes. I raised my hand to smooth my messy hair, said good night, and then turned to leave. My room is right next to Hudson, and after lying down, just thinking about my future husband living just a wall away brings me immense comfort. Closing my eyes, I quickly fell into a deep sleep. Long after the call ended, Mario was still standing in place, but in the end, he could only take a deep breath with a headache, walk into the room, and relay my words to Marcel. Chapter 11. After speaking, Marcel maintained a calm expression, but the fingers gripping the wine glass were already clenched tightly. Mario unconsciously broke out in a cold sweat. Mr. Lu, maybe Miss Sue is just throwing a tantrum. Throwing a tantrum? Marcel smirked slightly. Mario lowered his head. Even his breathing became lighter. In the next moment, Marcel kicked over the coffee table in front of him. The wine glass shattered, creating a mess everywhere. Others looked over in shock. The room was so quiet that a pin drop could be heard. Marcel let out a cold laugh. She really has some nerve, daring to play such tricks with me. All right then, let's see how long she can hold on. Marcel looked at Mario with an anxious expression. Where's the stuff? Mario lowered his head even further. Eva happened to see it that day and just took it away to throw it out. I thought that Eva and Mr. would be getting engaged soon, so I didn't stop her. Marcel glanced at him, his eyes dark and cold. Mario, you are quite something. Mario almost knelt down. Mr. Lu, I know I was wrong. I won't dare again in the future. Someone hurriedly tried to smooth things over. Why get angry with an assistant? Besides, since Eva handled Lisa's things, it saves you from feeling upset looking at them. Yeah, if you accept it, Lisa will have the perfect excuse to cling on. What you said is true. Even if you don't accept it, she will definitely cling on. After being with Marcel for so many years, who doesn't know she can't survive without him? These days, it's just a game of teasing, trying to get Marcel's attention. No one felt there was anything wrong with this statement. In fact, they thought this was exactly what Lisa would do. After all, in the past 5 years, such things have been seen far too often. Marcel glanced at Mario with a still cold expression. Get out of here. He has always hated it when people around him take matters into their own hands. This Mario is really becoming more and more unreasonable. Mario didn't dare to say more and hurriedly turned to leave the room. Seeing that he was in a bad mood, everyone gradually dispersed. Marcel leaned on the sofa, the effects of the alcohol rising, and closed his eyes. Indeed, what my friend said was not wrong. Lisa loves him so much, cares about him, and simply cannot live without him. She would never allow him to get engaged to Eva. Even if she puts on a brave face today, she will definitely show up at the engagement banquet tomorrow, trying every possible way to sabotage it. Her situation at Sue's home was so dire, and he was the only one who could save her. As long as Lisa isn't foolish, she won't let go of this lifeline. At the latest, she will definitely come tomorrow. Thinking of this, Marcel felt the heaviness in his heart ease a little. As long as she comes, considering their 5 years of relationship, perhaps he could give her a way out. Engagement banquet venue. Eva was dressed in an elaborate and luxurious white gown, her makeup exquisite, young and beautiful. Marcel was also in a custom white suit, which made his figure stand tall and striking. Surrounded by friends, each wearing a joyful expression, he responded intermittently, but kept glancing towards the entrance. With less than 15 minutes until the engagement banquet officially began, Lisa's figure was still nowhere to be seen. A sense of restlessness inexplicably rose in Marcel's heart. He suppressed his agitation and downed the water in his cup. In the last 2 minutes, he raised his hand to check the time on his watch. Have all the guests arrived? His tone was light, as if he were asking casually. Of course, the engagement banquet is about to start. The guests have already arrived. We are just waiting for you and Eva, the two main characters, to make your entrance." Marcel suppressed the irritation in his heart, stood up, and said, "Let's go." The hall was filled with the fragrance of clothes and the bustle of people. Eva was also surrounded by a group of best friends, her face full of joy and shyness. Marcel looked around. He did not see Lisa's figure. A growing restlessness stirred within him. He turned around and looked towards the entrance from a distance, but saw nothing unusual. "Marcel." Eva walked over shyly, linked her arm with his, and said softly, "The engagement banquet is about to start, and I'm a bit nervous." "It's just an engagement banquet. What's there to be nervous about?" Marcel casually dismissed, his gaze sweeping over Eva's earrings, suddenly pausing. "I was also too focused on this engagement banquet that belongs to us, which is why I was so nervous." "Ah!" Eva suddenly cried out, drawing the attention of all the guests. Marcel's face turned ashen. Where did the bracelet and earrings come from? Chapter 12. These were the pieces of jewelry he had given to Lisa from the treasure box he had pursued her with 5 years ago. Every piece of jewelry inside was cherished by Lisa. How could they possibly appear on Eva now? Marcel gripped her wrist tightly, suddenly applying force. Eva with tears in her eyes, "Marcel, you hurt me. Speak." Marcel's eyes were filled with anger. Eva with a trembling voice, "I took it from Lisa's box for Mario's assistant. I thought it was beautiful, and it would be a pity to lose it, so I took the liberty of keeping it." She was just an ordinary college student, who hadn't seen much of the world. Although Marcel also gave her quite a few valuable pieces of jewelry, they couldn't compare to those in the treasure box. Girls all love beauty. She momentarily succumbed to greed, but she never expected Marcel to react so strongly. Eva couldn't help but feel regret. Marcel had never been this angry before. He never expected Lisa to return such a precious treasure box. Both of them understood the significance of the treasure box. When he gave it to her, she sweetly told him that when they got married, she would bring the treasure box as her dowry and keep it by her side for life. But now, she actually said she didn't want it anymore. Marcel felt a surge of anger crashing within his chest, yet he had no way to vent it. The earrings worn by Eva were even more blinding when her eyes were closed. He simply reached out and roughly yanked the earrings off. He sternly said, "Bring me everything from the treasure box without missing a single item. If you do, I will take your life." After saying that, he didn't even glance at Eva's bleeding ears. He actually left behind all his relatives and friends. Turning around and striding away, the black Rolls-Royce sped forward, and Marcel expressionless took out his phone and dialed Lisa. "Sorry, the number you have dialed is turned off. Please try again later." I called twice in a row, and both times it was this mechanical sound. Marcel's face gradually turned cold. Go to Sue's house. Chapter 13. The driver was busy turning around at the intersection, speeding towards Sue's house. When they arrived at Sue's house, Alex and Mrs. Sue, Tang Wei, greeted them with beaming smiles. Marcel couldn't be bothered to engage with them and directly asked, "Where's Lisa?" Alex and Tang Wei exchanged a glance. As for Lisa's marriage to Hong Kong, since the wedding has not yet taken place, the Song family strictly ordered that not a word be leaked. So people in City A don't know that Lisa has long gone to Hong Kong and is now preparing for her wedding. Alex can only sigh and shake his head, looking helpless. "Marcel, you should know that your breakup with Lisa has deeply hurt her. Now that you are getting engaged, Lisa is even more upset and has gone traveling to clear her mind. As for where she went, she won't tell me, and her phone is off, so I really don't know where she is now." Marcel knows that Sue's family wouldn't dare to lie. Now Sue's family is down and out, relying on Lu just to make ends meet. Alex wished that Lisa could marry him sooner, and it was naturally impossible to hide Lisa's whereabouts. Then, there is only one possibility. He broke up with her before and is now going to get engaged to Eva. It really hurt her. It also left her truly disheartened, so she didn't want to face City A or hear others mock her words. Only then would one travel alone to escape. Marcel thought of the day they broke up, Lisa looking utterly lost. There was a slight ache in his heart. Perhaps his feelings for her were still different from those he had for other women. Even Eva was merely a fleeting whim for him. After all, he and Lisa had been together for 5 years. To be honest, no one can really replace her, and he seems to like her even more than he thought he did. But, no matter what, she returned the treasure box and left without a word. She also blocked his number. Marcel still felt a bit upset. Wait for her to come back. Wait for her to reach a breaking point and proactive seek reconciliation with him. He would still give her a little lesson. Thinking of this, Marcel's expression softened a bit. Lisa, that temperament. This mood should come to an end now. He will patiently wait. Chapter 14. An engagement banquet cannot continue without one of the most important people. Eva found Marcel cried and argued, but it was all in vain. Marcel no longer mentions the engagement, but Eva clearly has fallen too deep. Even though Marcel is not as he was before, yet she still refuses to leave. Although Marcel has not driven her away, he also has not gone to Eva's place even once. On the wedding day of Hong Kong's young Master Hudson Song, Lu's parents and Marcel Lu, who received the invitation, also arrived in Hong Kong a day early. Lu attached great importance to this wedding, and they hoped to establish a connection with Song's family to help Lu advance further. Therefore, before going, he kept reminding Marcel to interact more with Hudson, ideally becoming good friends. That powerful, crownless king must never be offended, no matter what. Early the next morning, Lu and the others rushed to the estate where the wedding was held. The guests were busy socializing, and Marcel felt bored, so he went out to the garden to get some fresh air. This is a private estate owned by the Song family, with beautiful scenery where the flora and fauna complement each other, making it breathtaking. Marcel walked along the winding path, unknowingly arriving at a waterfall of roses. In the blooming rose bushes, a swing was set up. On the swing sat a young girl, her long hair flowing, wearing a white morning robe, just a silhouette, yet it was breathtakingly beautiful. A gentle breeze brushed by, and the swing swayed softly. When the girl casually turned her head, Marcel was suddenly frozen in place. Lisa. The wedding was set to begin in 3 hours. Everyone was busily and nervously preparing. Only when my mind is blank, sitting on the swing, gently swaying, the scent of roses lingers around me, my feet off the ground, the warm sunlight pouring over me, an indescribable comfort. Soon, I will marry Hudson and become his wife. Every time I think of this, I feel it's unreal. Perhaps noticing my inner tension and unease, Hudson suggested I take a stroll in the garden and kindly gave me space to be alone. At this moment, my mood finally began to settle down. I was just about to get up and go back to put on makeup and change into the wedding dress, but before I could get up, a very familiar voice suddenly came from behind me. Lisa, how did you end up here? I instinctively turned around and saw Marcel standing among the rose bushes, dressed in a tailored black suit. After not seeing him for a long time, he seemed to have lost some weight, but he still had the handsome charm that women found appealing. I didn't respond, I just stood up and turned to leave, but Marcel had already quickly walked over and blocked my path. Did you come to find me? Marcel looked down at me from a height, yet his eyes held an undeniable hint of admiration. The days in Hong Kong are quite comfortable. I've gained a little weight. In Hudson's words, I am feeling great both physically and mentally now, like a snow cake made of peach blossoms. So lovely. The Song family is having a wedding today, and the security is very strict. How did you get in? Marcel raised his hand to press on my shoulder, his brow slightly furrowed. If you sneak in without an invitation, you will be kicked out and sent to the police station. Come with me first. He grabbed my wrist, trying to pull me away, but I forcefully broke free from his grip. Lisa, don't act up in a situation like this. Be good. Come with me. I will tell the Song family that you came with me. Marcel was about to reach out to pull me again. I immediately took a step back, feeling it was quite ridiculous, but I still didn't want to tell him that today's wedding was mine. Mine and Hudson's. Chapter 15. Mr. Lu, thank you for your kindness, but I don't need it. You don't need it? What will you do when you embarrass yourself later? Even if you want to see me, you can wait until I return to City A before we meet. Or did you deliberately choose such a grand occasion to appear in front of me, wanting to force me to reconcile with you? He is convinced that I am still the old Lisa, who will always cling to him and find ways to stay by his side. But what he doesn't know is that in my heart, the entanglement between us over the years has long been completely severed. You think too much, Mr. Lu. I am here today, not because of you. Marcel let out a cold snort, clearly not believing my words. If it's not because of me, then who is it for? Lisa, how come I didn't know that you were so stubborn now? You are in Hong Kong, unfamiliar with the place, and the family Su and the Song family have no connection at all. You came here, besides wanting to see me. Is there another reason? Perhaps the old Lisa gave Marcel too much confidence, so much so that he seems to never believe that I have long since let him go. Then just consider me stubborn. After saying that, I simply turned and walked down another path. Lisa, Marcel chased after me for a couple of steps. I turned back and mocked him. Aren't you the one who hates it when I cling on? So what are you doing now? Marcel suddenly darkened his face, his lips tightly pressed. After a long pause, he finally spoke. Lisa, don't be ungrateful. Don't regret it. Regret? I think I will never have that feeling again. Returning to the makeup room, The makeup artist and stylist surrounded me, dressing me in a wedding gown and applying exquisite bridal makeup. The wedding dress was intricately luxurious to the extreme, showcasing the effort put into it. I looked at myself in the mirror and took a deep breath. Lisa, from now on, you must be happy. The door slowly opened, and as I was surrounded by the bridesmaids, all dressed up, the eyes of the entire room fell upon me. Yet, instinctively, I first sought out Hudson's figure. When our eyes met, my heart immediately settled down. He looked at me without blinking, his eyes filled with gentle smiles. I couldn't help but slightly curve my lips, filled with joy and sweetness, as I walked towards him. In the sudden silence of the room, an out-of-place sound of shattering glass rang out. I turned to look, and Marcel had already stood up, lost and disheveled. He stood there, his face pale as death, as if struck by lightning, and the hand hanging by his side was already bleeding. It seems that the sound just now was due to him crushing the wine glass with his bare hands, but I only glanced at him once and calmly withdrew my gaze. At this moment, the butler had already brought security over. Lisa. Marcel suddenly pushed aside the person in front of him and was about to rush onto the stage. Lu father Lu mother were clearly frightened and forgot to stop him. The surrounding guests were also extremely shocked and began to whisper among themselves, but the bodyguards arrived immediately and quickly stopped him. Hudson also spoke up. His expression was calm, but his voice was very cold. Please escort him out. Lisa, you need to explain this to me clearly. Marcel, however, seemed to have lost control of his emotions, desperately trying to break free from the bodyguards, but he was pressed down again, looking rather disheveled. Are you deliberately seeking revenge on me? Are you putting on a show for me on purpose? I said I wanted to get engaged to Eva, and you turned around and got married. Lisa, how dare you? His chest heaved violently, his eyes a deep red, staring at me intently. I ignored him, resolutely walking step by step towards Hudson. Marcel was quickly dragged out by the bodyguards. Lu's people were also invited to leave. The wedding proceeded as usual. Under everyone's gaze, Hudson slipped the ring onto my finger and then leaned down to kiss my fingertip. I too picked up the ring, gently cradling his hand. Hudson's fingers were long and strong. Only I knew how those hands had caressed my face, how they had held my waist. I held back my shyness and slipped the ring onto his finger, lowering my head to place a kiss where the ring was. Hudson cupped my face and gently kissed my forehead, saying, "Hello, Ms. Sue." I looked into his deep, dark eyes and clearly saw my smile reflected in them. "Hello, Mr. Song." Chapter 16. After the wedding, I nestled tiredly in Hudson's arms. He tucked my loose hair behind my ear and said, "If you're tired, take a rest for a while." I shook my head and replied, "I'm not tired." "That's good." Hudson's fingers brushed over my lips, hinting, "There's still one important thing left to do today." My cheeks flushed slightly. In the past few days, although we had been quite intimate, we had never taken the final step. It's just, I cast a subtle glance at a certain spot. I wonder if the issue with my legs will affect other areas. I thought that glance had been discreet enough, yet it was still caught by Hudson. He raised an eyebrow. "Lisa, what were you just thinking about?" A warm breath brushed against my face, and I instantly felt guilty, my gaze darting around, and nothing. "Is that so?" He moved closer, his voice low and charming. As our lips met, I raised my arms to embrace him, lost in this kiss. That night, Hudson demonstrated to me that the issue with his legs did not affect the other functions of his body. In fact, the experience he brought me was unprecedented. In a daze, I vaguely felt that something was off, but I couldn't pinpoint what it was. "Hudson, I don't want this anymore." "Okay, just this last time." Hudson kept his word. After this time ended, he kissed me and whispered goodnight in my ear. My weary eyes had not yet opened, and I fell into a deep sleep. Chapter 17. Marcel was forcibly taken back to City A by Lu's home people. They directly had the bodyguards keep an eye on him, not allowing him to step out of Lu's home even once. Even less were they allowed to go to Hong Kong. In these few days, the people of Lu's home took turns persuading him not to remain stubborn. Lisa has already married into Song's family, and it has become a settled matter. If he continues to act foolishly, he will only offend the Song family even more, which would be counterproductive. But Marcel would not listen to a single word, nor did he respond at all. He only instructed Mario to send the treasure box to the old house at the earliest opportunity. All the jewelry inside was personally bought and given to Lisa by him. Marcel only felt as if a heavy stone had fallen on his heart, a kind of heavy pain that made it hard to breathe. At that time, how much he liked Lisa and how much he cared about her, who didn't know? But in just a few years, He became lost in the various temptations of the outside world and had already forgotten the feelings he once had for her. The inconspicuous yellowed card in the corner of the box suddenly caught Marcel's attention. He took out the card, feeling inexplicably familiar with it, yet unable to recall, until he saw the back of the card, where his personal seal belonged. Marcel felt as if he had been struck in the heart by a heavy punch. Standing there in a daze, unable to move for quite a while, he finally remembered that this blank wish card was a thank you gift he had sent out when he was a teenager. He once said that he could exchange this blank wish card for anything he could offer, but as he grew up, he had completely forgotten about the things from his youth. It turned out that all these years, the person he liked had always been Lisa. Marcel's chest was heaving violently, emotions crashing around in his chest, desperately seeking an outlet. He took out his phone and dialed Lisa's number, but it still couldn't be connected. Marcel seemed to be instantly drained of strength, slumping in his seat. Indeed, she is already married now, and with someone like Hudson who is temperamental and ruthless, he would definitely keep her under tight control. How could he allow her to contact him? Lisa marrying him must have been a momentary impulse. Now, she must be regretting it. How could Hudson be good to her with his unpredictable moods? So, he still has a chance. As long as he goes to her to sincerely apologize and humbles himself, she will definitely soften her heart and will surely return to his side. Chapter 18. After the wedding, it will be my honeymoon trip with Hudson, but for most of the trip, we stayed in the room and didn't want to go out. Hudson was unable to walk, but in bed, he was several times more capable than the average man. During the entire honeymoon, he hardly let go of me. Life after marriage is more comfortable than I imagined. Hudson holds a high position in the Song family, with him backing me up. Everyone in the Song family treats me with courtesy and respect. Even the parents of the Song family do not make things difficult for me. Moreover, Song's father is now in a semi-retired state, spending more than half of the year traveling around the world with Song's mother. Even when I return to Hong Kong, the couple does not live with me and Hudson. In the 2 months of marriage, I have only met Song's parents twice. Song's father is a rather imposing middle-aged man who doesn't say much. I mostly communicate with Song's mother. Song's mother is quite talkative, and when I'm with her, there is never a dull moment. I can tell that she is genuinely pleased with me as her daughter-in-law, and it is not just for Hudson's benefit. My siblings can return to the country to reunite with me during their vacation, all thanks to Hudson's arrangements, and Alex dare not interfere any further. Jewelry and various seasonal new clothing continuously arrive at my home for me to choose from. I am just an ordinary woman. Naturally, I like beautiful clothes and jewelry when I see them. With Hudson's encouragement, I picked up my paintbrush again and started learning to paint. When my best friend came to see me, she thought my current state was simply amazing. We went shopping and then had afternoon tea. My best friend told me a lot of gossip from City A. I married Hudson, which caused a huge uproar. They thought you would still be like before, recklessly staying by Marcel's side, but they didn't expect you to turn around and get married. And you married Hudson. He is the uncrowned king of Hong Kong. And Marcel is simply not in the same league. Even though Hudson has a disability in his leg, he is not someone an ordinary family can reach. The best friend looked smug. Now they are all dumbfounded. There are even people maliciously speculating that you must be living a miserable life after marriage, still saying Hudson is disabled, and his temperament must be twisted. Who knows? Maybe you are being abused at home every day. If they knew you were living so well, I wonder how upset they would be. After Marcel was forcibly taken back by his parents, the first thing he did was break up with Eva. Eva naturally did not want to, and had a couple of arguments with him. The consequence of the arguments was that Marcel reclaimed all the RVs and jewelry, and froze Eva's account. Eva couldn't stay in City A any longer and had to leave overnight, and Marcel's assistant Mario was also fired. Seeing that I had no interest in these matters, my best friend raised her eyebrows and changed the subject. Lisa, you look so good right now. It's clear your husband is treating you well. When I thought of Hudson, a smile appeared in my eyes, and just as I was about to say something, I suddenly heard someone calling my name. I was a bit taken aback. It was Marcel. He came back to Hong Kong again. He must have been keeping an eye on my best friend's whereabouts to find me here. I immediately signaled to the bodyguard to stop him. Marcel looked a bit thinner, and his handsome face appeared somewhat haggard. He was stopped by the bodyguard, but still unwilling to give up. Lisa, I just want to say a few words to you. There's nothing to say. I stood up, called my best friend, and was about to leave. Lisa, I know you married Hudson just to make me angry. He spoke urgently. I've seen everything you gave me, and that blank wish card. Lisa, this card is for you, and it's valid no matter when. Whatever you want, I will give it to you. He took the card out of his pocket and tried to hand it to me. Lisa, I promise you, as long as you divorce Hudson, I will marry you immediately. I know you have always had me in your heart. After all, we have so many years of feelings. Hudson is not your match, Lisa. He has a violent temper, and you will be wronged. I was directly angered to the point of laughter. Marcel, where did you get the illusion that I married Hudson to spite you? You and Hudson have never met before. He is also a cripple, and you could never willingly marry him. Marcel, I suddenly turned cold. Try saying another word, and see what happens. Hudson has a disability in both legs, but that's still hundreds of times better than someone like him who is able-bodied. Get him out of here. I never want to see him in Hong Kong again. I instructed the bodyguard and turned to leave with my best friend. Marcel seemed taken aback by my resolute attitude. He looked a bit dazed. Lisa, are you still angry with me? I didn't want to say another word and walked away briskly. Marcel, a proud and arrogant third generation, probably had never faced setbacks with women. His persistent pursuit now is merely a reflection of his unwillingness to accept loss after having gained. I will no longer waste a single moment on someone like him. Chapter 19. I didn't expect that, in just half a month, Marcel would actually show up at the Song family's door, wanting to see me. At that time, I was trimming roses in the greenhouse with Hudson, and upon hearing the butler's words, I almost doubted whether I had misheard. I confirmed in disbelief. Are you saying that Marcel came alone to find me at the Song house? Yes, madam. Mr. Lu is waiting outside. He also brought some things, saying they are gifts prepared for you. I frowned, and a wave of annoyance rose within me. The Song family has a deep background, and Lu's parents treat Hudson with great respect. Where did Marcel find the courage to come to the door of the Song family to see me, who is already Mrs. Song? Isn't this a veiled provocation towards Hudson? Marcel's self-proclaimed deep feelings only disrupt my comfortable and peaceful life, causing me countless troubles. I look at Hudson beside me, feeling a bit guilty and somewhat awkward. This isn't an ex, it's simply my dark history. Hudson is holding a rose bud in his hand, carefully trimming the thorns off the rose stem, and slowly inserting it into a white vase. After finishing these, he slowly raised his head. Lisa, what do you plan to do? Not seeing you. I am doing well now and do not want Marcel to disrupt this peace and warmth. If I go to see him again, Marcel might think I am still being insincere. I really do not want to see his face again. Okay. Hudson gently held my hand. Then let's not meet. Chapter 20. The butler conveyed my message to Marcel, but he stubbornly waited at the entrance, insisting on seeing me. Marcel waited outside for a whole night. I still did not relent. He helplessly asked the housekeeper to deliver the gift to me. I still refused. Marcel finally placed the new treasure box at the front door. I didn't even glance at it and directly had the housekeeper take care of it. The jewelry inside was donated to a charity foundation in Hong Kong. It can be considered that Marcel did a small good deed. After that, I didn't hear any news related to Marcel for nearly 2 months, until my best friend mentioned him. It is said that Marcel was forcibly taken back by his parents from Hong Kong. After returning, Lu's parents locked him up for more than half a month, and he was only released last week. Even so, Marcel was still being watched when he went out, fearing that he might carelessly sneak off to Hong Kong again. A few days ago, Marcel heard someone slandering me and rushed over to fight those people. Not only that, but he also took the opportunity to clarify many rumors about me. After I left, my reputation in city gradually improved. Hearing this, I felt a faint sadness rising from the depths of my heart. It turns out that Marcel was not unaware of how much harm those rumors could cause me. He just didn't want to deal with it. Even when he and his so-called brothers were discussing me, it would only add fuel to the fire. The reason my reputation is so poor is partly due to Marcel's inaction, but it's all in the past now. Right now, my heart is filled with anticipation for tomorrow, because tonight, my siblings will be arriving from abroad to Hong Kong to see me. Chapter 21. 4 months after marrying Hudson, I met my siblings whom I hadn't seen in a long time. They have grown taller, and they look healthy and in good spirits. As soon as we met, they rushed forward to hug me, crying uncontrollably. My brother, with red eyes and tears, looked at me and said, "Sister, don't worry. When I grow up, I will be able to protect you, and you won't have to be afraid of anything." This 17-year-old boy tries to use his still single Song shoulders to shield me from the wind and rain. My younger sister affectionately nuzzled my hair. "I'm here too. Sister, I will protect you as well." Alex has always controlled my life through my younger siblings, but now Hudson has helped them break free from Alex's grasp. In the future, I no longer have to worry about their situation, nor do I have to worry about losing contact with them. I also don't have to worry that Alex will make things difficult for them because of my disobedience. After reminiscing, I took my younger siblings to meet Hudson. The two children were clearly a bit afraid of him and obediently lowered their heads to call him brother-in-law. Hudson noticed their awkwardness and made an excuse to go to the company to handle some matters. He left the space for the three of us siblings. In the following days, Hudson was rarely at home, so I took my younger brother and sister out to play and bought quite a few things. My sister enjoys doing crafts, so I learned a bit as well. I personally made 2 ceramic dolls. The boy doll is dressed in a suit, while the girl doll wears a white dress, placed in the most prominent spot at the entrance of the bedroom. Thinking that Hudson would be the first thing I see when he walks in, I secretly felt a surge of joy in my heart. Chapter 22. But that night, until midnight, Hudson still hadn't returned. I sent a message to inquire. Hudson quickly called back, telling me that there was something at the company and he wouldn't be coming home tonight. I suppressed the disappointment in my heart and reminded him to take care of himself and not to overwork. After hanging up the phone, I turned to look at the 2 ceramic dolls that had just been brought back. A few months ago, Hudson spent most of his work time at home. Even when he went to the company, he would return before 8 in the evening. I have grown accustomed to having him by my side, but now that he suddenly stays at the company, it feels somewhat unfamiliar. Lying on the empty big bed, I tossed and turned, unable to sleep, so I got up and went to the studio, planning to pass the time by painting. Sitting quietly in front of the easel for a moment, I thought about the content of the painting, picked up the brush, and started painting without stopping. I only put down the brush when the daylight broke. Sleepiness crept up on me unexpectedly. I put this painting away by itself, returned to my room, and fell asleep as soon as I hit the bed. I was awakened by Hudson's kiss. As I groggily opened my eyes, I found Hudson sitting by the bed, leaning down to kiss my brow. Seeing me open my eyes, he placed another kiss on my forehead. Awake? I sleepily responded and reached out to hug his neck, giving him a kiss on his lips. When did you come back? Just came back not long ago. Grabbed a document. And now I have to go back to the company. He patted my head. I heard from the housekeeper that you haven't eaten all day. Are you feeling unwell? I'm not unwell. I just had a bit of insomnia last night and went to bed very late. Get up and eat something before sleeping, Hudson said. I'll eat with you. At the dining table, I looked at Hudson's faint fatigue and asked if he had worked late last night. Yes, it was quite late. He pressed his temples. I only slept for less than 3 hours. Was it a problem with the company, or something else? Hearing my words, Hudson chuckled. It's not that easy to have problems. Don't overthink it. The company is just busy expanding new business lately. Once this busy period is over, I'll accompany you on a trip. Speaking of which, our honeymoon trip is only 10 days long, which seems a bit short. He deliberately elongated his tone, implying something, thinking of the 10-day stay in the bedroom during the honeymoon. My earlobes quietly turned red. Chapter 23. I received a call from my best friend. He said, Marcel snatched a project from Song's company, causing some recent issues for Song's firm. I thought of Hudson's unusual overtime recently, but I was somewhat skeptical. Both Marcel and Hudson are considered outstanding among their peers, but Marcel's abilities cannot be compared to Hudson's at all. Not to mention, the foundation of Song's family is much deeper than Lu's. I don't believe that Marcel will affect Hudson, but what my best friend said next made me uncertain again. I heard that Marcel found a loophole in Song's business operations and used public opinion to influence the company's stock price. Besides Marcel, an elder in the company also had a conflict with Hudson, and took the opportunity to step on him a few times. After hanging up the phone, it felt as if a stone had dropped in my heart. It didn't hurt, but it was stuck there, making me feel extremely uncomfortable. I actually learned this news from my best friend, and Hudson probably didn't want me to worry, so he kept everything under wraps. In the evening, Hudson returned home. I wanted to find a chance to ask him, but after he got home, he went to the study and didn't come back to the bedroom until late at night. Hearing him return to the room, I quickly got up. Are you done? Hudson looked visibly tired. I have to go on a business trip for a few days tomorrow. I stepped forward to massage his temples. Then I'll prepare your luggage for the trip later. Hudson responded with his eyes closed. The room fell silent. After the massage, I held Hudson's hand and softly asked, I heard some rumors recently, and I don't know if they're true. The company is so busy. Part of the reason is because Marcel, right? Hudson looked down at me. Warm light spilled down from above, casting a small shadow on his forehead. Hudson's eyes remained dark and deep. as if they could see through to the heart. Not entirely correct, he replied. The company has encountered a few minor issues recently, but it's not because of Marcel. Those little actions of Marcel cannot cause damage to the company. I'm just cleaning out a few pests from the company. Really? Fool, he stroked my cool face. Of course it's true. Do you really think Marcel has the ability to shake the Song family's company? Of course not. I quickly arrived at the answer in my heart. The Song family's big ship has come this far, undoubtedly having weathered many storms. What stands before me now is just a small hurdle. I just need to get over it. Understood. I felt much more relaxed, and my tone became lighter. Do you want me to help you take a shower? I thought that since he was tired from working overtime today, he wouldn't be thinking of anything else, so I casually flirted. To my surprise, Hudson seemed quite interested. Sure, then it will be my lady's duty tonight. Chapter 24. After this busy period, traveling has moved up the agenda. Hudson accompanied me to have a great time for half a month. Little did I know that right after returning from the trip, that old-timer from the company came to Song's house, harshly criticizing Hudson for being ruthless and merciless. Although he was quickly persuaded to lead by the younger generation at home, I still felt a bit uneasy, thinking of that person's last gaze filled with hatred. I worriedly asked, "Will he retaliate against you?" "Don't worry," Hudson smiled reassuringly at me. "I have it under control." Seeing his calm expression, without a hint of worry or concern, I finally felt a bit relieved. On the day of Mom's memorial, Hudson took my siblings and me back to City A for a visit. He stayed with me for another 2 or 3 days before returning to Hong Kong. Coincidentally, Song's parents had just finished their last trip and were going to stay in Hong Kong for a while. I really like my mother-in-law. We get along particularly well in our daily interactions. During a casual chat, my mother-in-law mentioned some stories about Hudson's childhood and took me to the end of the third-floor corridor to see his childhood photos and some awards. And there's this drawer, which is filled with his treasures. As his mother, I can't touch them. I only accidentally saw a little bit once. She found the key, opened the drawer, and handed me the box inside. "Mom, this is Hudson's stuff. Is it wrong for me to look at it without his permission?" My mother-in-law waved her hand dismissively. "What's wrong with that? You are his wife. You are one. So how can there be any secrets?" She directly opened the small wooden box. "Just take a look. I'm sure you'll like it." I looked down and suddenly saw a few familiar photos. "This isn't." My mother-in-law immediately laughed. "Take your time looking. I just remembered I have something to do, so I'll leave first." After she left, I took out all the photos from the small wooden box. They were award photos from the painting competitions I had won since childhood. Each photo had a date marked on the back. One of them was a photo of me receiving an award at a Hong Kong art exhibition when I was 18. In the photo, there is a group picture of all the award winners and the distinguished guests. Standing next to me was Hudson. It turns out that the first major award I received at 18 was presented to me by Hudson. At that time, he was still very healthy. My vision suddenly became blurry. I never expected that there would be such a connection between us. Later, Hudson encountered an accident and became disabled in both legs, gradually faded from everyone's sight. And I, too, ended up with Marcel. Later on, Marcel dumped me, and I became the laughingstock of the Beijing circle. Perhaps because of all this, Hudson would seek a marriage alliance with the family Su, and the only eligible daughter of the family Su is me. Hudson had already planned all of this. I held those photos, and tears streamed down my face. I thought of what Song Mama had said. This is something he treasures greatly, and no one is allowed to touch it. I suddenly dare not think about those 5 years I spent with Marcel. Hudson was unexpectedly left disabled. How did he endure those years? I stood still for a moment, put the photo back in its place, and then locked the drawer. I didn't know how to deal with such a situation, so I could only pretend not to know for the time being. Chapter 25. The past 3 months have flown by, and my younger siblings' vacation is about to end. During this time in Hong Kong, Hudson asked them about their future plans, hired the appropriate renowned teachers, and packed their schedules full. Although it was tiring, there were many rewards. Before leaving, they specifically expressed their gratitude to Hudson and each gave him a gift. After sending my sister-in-law onto the plane, I pushed Hudson towards the parking lot, where I ran into Marcel. Marcel was standing behind a pillar, wearing a hat, looking a bit thinner than the last time we met, and no longer exuding his usual confidence. Because of the project competition, once Hudson was free, he immediately retaliated. Lu's company suffered heavy losses, and Marcel was also dismissed from his position. Lu's father and mother gradually began to harbor resentment towards him, shifting their focus to their younger son. But all of this was Marcel's own doing. I will not have the slightest bit of sympathy. Seeing me, Marcel tried to come over, but was once again stopped by the bodyguard. I helped Hudson into the car and instructed the driver to drive. But just an hour after getting home, Marcel appeared again at Song's doorstep. I still don't see him, only contacting Lu's parents to take him away. Lu's parents kept apologizing on the phone and promised that Marcel would never appear in front of me again. A month later, my best friend brought the latest news about Marcel and Eva. The middle-aged man Eva was with is quite shrewd. After being discovered by his original partner, he stopped meeting Eva and left her to deal with the original partner. A few days ago, Eva was confronted and beaten by her ex-wife at the mall entrance, making it to the local trending list and losing face. Not long after, she received a court summons, with her ex-wife reclaiming all the transfers her husband made to her during their marriage. Eva, feeling cornered, resorted to her old ways and got involved with an elderly man who had been divorced for many years. It is said that the old man was quite promiscuous and had contracted a disease, and everyone in the circle knew about it, but no one told Eva that her future was clearly destined to be a tragedy. As for Marcel, the company suffered, and he was laid off. He was greatly affected, fell into despair, and developed a drinking problem. I only heard these messages casually and will forget them soon. However, Alex has been contacting me frequently lately, trying to gain benefits from me through indirect means, but I rejected all of it. Alex knows that there are people from Hudson on my sister-in-law's side, and he can't get involved. He simply set his sights on my mother's grave. He threatened that if I didn't agree to his conditions, he would send someone to disturb my mother's peace. I was so angry that I trembled all over, sat in silence for a long time, and made a decision. I want to move my mother's grave to Hong Kong. I want to completely sever ties with Alex and the entire family Sue. That evening, I brought this up with Hudson. Hudson stroked my hand with his fingertips. His tone as casual as if we were just chatting. Don't worry, I'll take care of this. What do you plan to do? He didn't answer, just pulled me onto his lap. Lisa, if I were a bit harsh, would you think I'm heartless? No, I replied quickly. I would love for him to have a terrible life for the rest of his days. All right, then it shall be as you wish. Hudson leaned down and kissed me. It's just Lisa. I never make a losing deal. His kisses grew heavier. You know what I want. Of course I know what he wants. We've been married for so long, and aside from my period, he has never let me have a moment's peace, but I seem to enjoy it. Hudson, let's go to bed. Right here, just like this. Hudson held my waist with both hands. Lisa, you know I can't move my legs, so this time, it's going to be hard for you. I raised my hands, clinging to his shoulders, and softly hummed in agreement, willingly responding to his kiss. Chapter 26. It was a month later that I heard news about Alex again. Half a month ago, his already crumbling company finally went bankrupt. Immediately after, he discovered that his stepmother had long been in bed with other men behind his back. Alex was struck by a stroke, and for the rest of his life, he could only lie in bed, struggling to survive. Now, he and Sue's family are like a finely burst abscess, no longer threatening me or making me feel disgusted. After hearing this news, I just felt a sense of relief wash over me. Just then, Hudson returned to take me out for dinner, but halfway through the drive, I suddenly felt that something was off. There was a strange smell in the car that made me feel a bit nauseous. I frowned and turned to look at Hudson. He happened to turn to look at me as well. Our eyes met, and we both understood each other's meaning. I held my breath and pressed the car window button. As expected, the window was locked and couldn't be opened. I looked at the driver. Hudson's two usual drivers were unavailable. One had a family emergency, and the other had food poisoning yesterday, so he was a substitute. Hudson's expression changed. Who sent you here? The driver said nothing. Only the speed of the car increased. The car behind, carrying bodyguards, suddenly accelerated, trying to force us to stop. At the first sign of trouble, Hudson notified the bodyguards. The driver slammed on the gas and chose another road down the mountain at the intersection ahead. The two cars chased each other, neither gaining the upper hand, but the gas in the car made my mind increasingly chaotic, and I could only subconsciously grip Hudson's hand tightly. Don't be afraid, Lisa, I'm here. He tightly held my hand in response. As soon as the words fell, the car crashed heavily into a large rock ahead. Before I lost consciousness, I could feel Hudson holding me tightly, protecting me beneath him. Chapter 27. I was awakened by Hudson. After barely regaining consciousness, my mind was still heavy and aching. Lisa, do you feel any better now? I looked at him in a daze and instinctively asked, how are you? Are you hurt anywhere? Thinking of his legs being unable to move, I couldn't help but feel more anxious and quickly scanned him up and down. His suit was nowhere to be found, and his shirt was disheveled with a few buttons missing, the watch is missing, and even the hair that has always been meticulous is a bit disheveled. I'm fine, I'm not hurt, don't worry, I have a tracker on me. At most in an hour, someone will come to rescue us. Don't be afraid, I'm here with you. Even in such a situation, Hudson remains calm and composed, but this undoubtedly eased some of the anxiety in my heart. I forced myself to sit up and observe the surroundings. This is an abandoned warehouse, with empty and dilapidated surroundings, and there are some rusty small parts and wooden scraps on the ground. Faint voices came from outside the warehouse. The sounds were too soft for me to hear clearly. I forced myself to get up and walk to the front door, only to find it locked from the outside, completely unopenable from the inside. The window was very high, I could barely reach it, and there was nothing inside the warehouse to help me elevate myself. Just as I was feeling troubled, suddenly a pair of strong hands lifted me up steadily. My gasp was caught in my throat. It was Hudson, but he clearly couldn't walk. I suppressed these questions and my shock, peering out through the gap in the window. He described the scenery outside the window to him again. Hudson quickly confirmed the location. He put me down and lowered his voice. There will be someone here in at most 15 minutes. Don't worry, I nodded, then pursed my lips and looked at his legs. On the night of our wedding, I noticed that his legs showed no signs of atrophy. At that time, I thought it was just good care and didn't think deeply about it. I was afraid of bringing up his painful memories, so I never asked him about his legs. Looking back now, his legs were perfectly fine. I also thought about how he had been calm throughout today, and I had a rough guess in my heart. I'll explain this to you slowly when we get back. Right now, we need to ensure our safety and wait for rescue. He held my hand tightly and pulled me into his embrace. In any case, Lisa, trust me. Chapter 28. About 10 minutes later, there was a commotion outside the door. I gripped the wooden stick in my hand, instinctively shielding Hudson behind me, my expression growing more tense. The door opened, and 5 men entered. One of them wielded a machete, while the other 4 held baseball bats. They quickly found me and Hudson hiding in the corner. As soon as the door opened, Hudson leaned against the wall, slumped against me. I know Hudson deliberately exposed a flaw, wanting to make these people let their guard down, so he cooperated fully. Sure enough, those people immediately laughed. This cripple is useless. Look, he can't even stand, and he needs a woman to protect him. What a waste. The man in charge stared at me intently and handed the knife to his sidekick. You, a cripple, with such a beautiful wife. I guess you can only watch. Why not let me take advantage of her? As he spoke, he reached out to grab my arm. At that moment, Hudson stepped forward and punched the man in the face. His movements were very swift and decisive. I could even hear the sound of the man's nasal bone breaking. Then, Hudson kicked him down to the ground. Just as a few others were about to rush forward, the police and bodyguards arrived in time. In the chaos, I kept my eyes fixed on the man who had been knocked down by Hudson. When he came over earlier, I noticed he seemed to have a gun hidden at his waist. Sure enough, he had drawn the gun at some point and was aiming it at Hudson. I didn't have time to think. My mind went completely blank. I simply acted on instinct, lunging directly at Hudson in an attempt to shield him from this potentially fatal shot. I heard the gunshots, along with the sound of my own heartbeat, thumping loudly and intensely, but the pain I expected did not come. I stared blankly at Hudson, unable to utter a single word. Lisa, Lisa. Hudson suddenly hugged me tightly, pressing me firmly against him. His voice trembled, and I could clearly hear his fear. Lisa, I'm so glad you're okay. Otherwise, I would never forgive myself for the rest of my life. Hudson, are you hurt? I frantically touched his face, feeling the blood on his shirt, and tears suddenly surged forth. It's just a small injury. Lisa, don't be afraid. It's nothing, but you're bleeding. Hudson, you're bleeding a lot. I gradually cried out in sobs, unable to speak. It's just a superficial wound. Dear, don't cry. We're fine now. Hubby is taking you home now. Be good. Hudson steadily picked me up. His arms were strong, and his steps were firm. Only then did I gradually feel at ease, exhausted, allowing myself to lean softly against him. On the way back, I realized that the man had fired a gun, but he didn't hit me. A police officer fired his gun first, which caused his bullet to miss. Hudson told me that this was a trap he set up to draw out the mastermind behind it all, and that person is Hudson S. Elder, a veteran of the company. He used to be on equal footing with Song Old Master. His leg was also injured because of that person. To make them lower their guard, he simply went along with it and pretended to be disabled. Now that everything has settled, those who are guilty will face the harsh penalties of the law. Since then, the Song family and the entire group have been unmatched by Hudson. Chapter 29. I listened quietly, without saying a word, but the action of applying medicine to his wound did not stop. Lisa. Hudson called my name several times before I finally looked up. I clearly saw my reflection in his eyes, along with the redness around them. Hudson reached out, gently and affectionately stroking my cheek. I pushed him away, my hands trembling uncontrollably. You are putting yourself in danger. Have you considered that if they capture you, they could kill you in an instant? He hugged me tightly, planting delicate kisses on my face, whispering softly, I'm sorry. I only regret not considering everything thoroughly and putting you in danger. It will never happen again, no matter what. I will discuss it with you in advance, okay? For some reason, my nose grew increasingly sour, and the tears I had been holding back burst forth in an instant, falling like beads from a broken string. The softer his voice became, the harder I cried, as if I were trying to cry out all the tears of my life. I threw myself into Hudson's arms, gripping his shirt tightly, wrinkling it. Hudson, I'm here, he said. Hudson, I'm here. I called his name over and over, and he patiently responded again and again, until I cried myself out and fell asleep in his arms. When I woke up, the warm light was on by the bedside, and Hudson was sitting there. Lisa, you're awake. I immediately threw myself into his arms. Are you hungry? I had someone bring the food up. Is that okay? I didn't answer, but looked up at him. Hudson. I saw the photo in the room at the end of the hallway. I tilted my face to kiss his chin. My slightly reddened eyes filled with deep laughter. You've liked me for a long time, haven't you? In times of danger, instinctive reactions cannot be faked. Hudson, yes, I do too. Before this, I could feel his affection and love everywhere, and I caught glimpses of his deep feelings from those photos. It's just that my previous relationship hurt me too deeply, causing me to instinctively avoid it. Only today, when faced with danger, did I realize how regretful it would be if my feelings for him had never been known. Hudson slowly lowered his head and gave me a long and gentle kiss. Yes, he said, his eyes filled with countless affections. Lisa, I like you. I have liked you for a long time, but the confession should have been made by me first. The faint scent of pine unique to him lingered at the tip of my nose, and Hudson's embrace was warm and reassuring. He said, Wife, I love you. I closed my eyes, letting the tears roll down. Hudson, I love you too. He leaned down and pressed me onto the soft bed. The moonlight slants to the west, and only the whispers between lovers remain in the room, gradually fading to the sound of intertwined breaths. Chapter 30. It is another year since my mother's death anniversary. I flew to Sydney with Hudson to visit my mom. She looks at me smiling in the photo, just like when she was alive. I placed flowers and offerings at her grave, softly telling her about everything that has happened in recent months. It was only when the dusk slanted to the west that I reluctantly left. As I was leaving, I encountered Marcel again at the foot of the mountain. He looked quite haggard, and he seemed to be in a bit of a disheveled state. I heard that now Lu has completely given up on him. After all, a debauched and gambling playboy is of no help to the family anymore. Lisa, he gazed at me intently, took a few steps forward, and then, lost in thought, stopped in his tracks. Mr. Lu, is there something you need? I looked at him with a detached expression, yet deep down, I still felt a twinge of regret. I remembered how he used to be, so full of springtime vigor and dressed in fine clothes. People always surrounded him like stars orbiting the moon. But now, no one follows him anymore. Those old friends have long since scattered like birds and beasts. But for today, I can't blame anyone else. It's all his own doing. Marcel stared at me for a long time, then looked at Hudson. He stood beside me, holding my waist tightly, tall and upright, exceptionally handsome. Marcel's expression gradually revealed pain. Lisa, can I talk to you alone? There's no need to go elsewhere. Mr. Song can just avoid it a bit. He is my husband. There is nothing that cannot be heard. I held Hudson's hand tightly and said, let's talk about it here. Marcel forced a smile and said, Lisa, I originally thought that if I just apologized and promised to make up for my past mistakes, you would come back. I always believed that in this world, only you would be by my side forever. The guilt on Marcel's face is real, the regret is real, and the remorse is real, but all of this is too late and meaningless now. Marcel, no one will wait for you forever in the same place. Move forward, don't look back. After saying that, I didn't linger any longer and pulled Hudson away. After walking a distance, Hudson suddenly sighed. Mrs. Song still has her charm. That's right. I tossed my hair and winked at him. My charm has never been small. Otherwise, I stopped, stood on my tiptoes to kiss him, and smiled with my eyes curved. How did I manage to make you so infatuated back then? Insisting that you wouldn't marry anyone but me? Hudson also laughed, candidly admitting, yeah, you made me so infatuated, insisting that I wouldn't marry anyone but you. And even now, it feels like I've taken a love potion. I couldn't help but laugh out loud, throwing myself into his arms, asking him to hold me tightly. The sun is just right, and a gentle breeze is blowing. Mom, did you see it? Right now, I am very happy, very happy.